Here we are for AOR Round 17, PC Assist League 2, and it takes us to the United States of America. So, coming into this, Richie has a 18-point lead over QRL Storm, and of course there's only 4 rounds to go, including this one. So, the championship fight is really seeming to hot up, so it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top. Of course, Richie definitely has the momentum after last week, after Storm had what can only be described as a horrendous result at Japan. Yet here we are now for qualifying comparison, and it will be between QRL Storm and Barlight. You can see Storm getting a much better qualifying performance than his previous 2 attempts, both Malaysia and Japan being outside the top 7. So yeah, finally back in the top 3 in qualifying, and you can see Barlight as well, not too bad at that, but you can see already Storm is quite a bit ahead visually. You can see now as they pass next to the hut, there's about 5 tenths difference between the 2 of them. But of course, yeah, Storm is using the controller compared to Richie, who's using the wheel. So Richie will be able to gain on Storm a bit in Sector 1 because, of course, of the fast change of the directions. But Storm, it is quite a good track for Storm. So well, if it rains, Storm will definitely have a good chance. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top after this race. We can see now Storm is definitely ahead of Barlight. Barlight has driven quite a tidy lap, but of course, I mean, he's normally a top 5 sort of racer in this league, but he hasn't had the best of luck recently, especially at Singapore, and yeah, I mean, quite a few other races for that matter. But you can see now as they cross the line, QRL Storm will qualify P3 with a 134.4, and Barlight will be 7 tenths down. It's quite a big difference visually, but overall, once again, it's Richie B who takes pole, and he's taken pole in almost every race he's driven in this league. He's driven in 13 races, and I think he's got 10 poles or something. Dao C is in second, so Dao C returning to this league after about 3 or 4 races. Of course, this guy did lead halfway through the season, 2 points ahead of Storm, but he's dropped back as a result of not really attending. But you see off the start, it's a mediocre start for Storm. He's going to be put under pressure from Dwerg. He's going to throw out the inside of Dao as well. There goes Dwerg from 4th to 2nd. What a good start. Richie maintains his lead. Storm's going side by side with Dao. And about with E3, remember you can see the kind who got shoved out, and you can see now Storm trying to get to Dwerg, but here comes Dao C, and Storm's just going to back out of that, and Dao cheekily cutting the corner there. So a bit of a corner cut, but you can see now Barlight is spun off, and once again he's got bad luck. So yeah, this is just highlights from Richie B. Of course, he got a clean getaway. You can just see the traction he gets off the start. He's clearly ahead into turn 1. Of course, Dao and Storm not really renowned for their good starts. Meanwhile, you can see now Borderline is going to go around the outside of Intergalactic Gentleman up into P5. So yeah, now it's the Dutch occupy 4 of the top 5 slots. So Storm's going to be a bit outnumbered there, but you'll see if he can hold his own. Meanwhile, Nakanu's trying to put Cassie under pressure, and Storm's now trying to put Dao under pressure. So can Storm get revenge on Dao after Dao sort of corner cut the corner in order to get ahead of him? Of course, these 2 World Championship rivals at one point. You can see now Barlight's going to overtake Crixeno, who's actually crashed with Bellamy. So after winning last race, it's not really a good start for Crixeno, who well, we had a really good start to last race. You can see now Nakainu now is going to gain a few more positions. It's actually Intergalactic Gentleman who's off. So after starting quite well, he's fallen back, and he's actually going to fall back even behind Barlight. So yeah, Intergalactic's got definitely a lot of work to do if he wants to come back in this race. And he's going to rejoin at the back of the grid. Meanwhile, Storm already getting a corner cutting warning as he closes up to Dao C. Of course, the top 4, actually the top 5 for that matter, seeming to pull away from the rest of the field. You can see now as we skip on again, that's another corner cutting warning, and that's a penalty for Storm already on lap 3. He's had 3 corner cutting warnings, and that's him 3 seconds, 3 seconds worse off than anyone else. Of course, it's quite hard to get Sector 1 right on the pads, and of course, Storm was just getting the consequences of that, really. But you can see now by lap 4, he's closed up on Dao and Dwerg a bit, and he's still got Borderline for company, but he's beginning to drop them ever so slightly. And again, as we skip on to the end of lap 4, he's keeping them quite under pressure. But you see Richie's ever so slightly pulling away. He's probably got a 2-second lead over Dwerg, but Storm will not want to get him, letting him get too far away. Of course, he does need to win if he wants to get the momentum back. But Richie, once again, looking unstoppable so far. But he just hasn't pulled away as well as he normally has. Meanwhile, Barlight is going to overtake Raining Thunder, and yeah, he's going to inherit 10th place. Of course, those teammates seem to be very understanding of each other, and that's not the first time they let each other through. So yeah, nice to see that few teammates getting on well. Meanwhile, Storm is trying to close up to the back of Dao C, who is actually beginning to fall off the back of Dwerg a bit, and Richie B is disappearing off to the distance, so it's beginning to spread out a bit more the field. Meanwhile, Dao has actually made a mistake. Storm's going to try to do a cutback on him. He's going to line him up to the next corner. He's going to get a good run. He's going to be on right at the back of Dao, but of course he has to be careful because Borderline's closed up as a result of Dao's mistake. Can Storm go up the inside low? He's actually going to cautiously hang back. Of course, he's never really been an aggressive driver this season. And yeah, same happening in this race by the looks of it. Again, you can see Storm's got a better run than Dow, but again, he's not seeming to look like he wants to go for a move. So he just seems alright just to hang back for now and just let the race come to him. You can see he's actually got softs on his dashboard, so that implies a 1-stop. And that's actually Dow and Dwerg have come in, so that's actually implying a 2-stop. So Storm should be able to actually get some of these guys on strategy, providing he can actually get good pace out of his or his next set of soft tyres. Meanwhile, you've seen Nakainu now. He's going to stay out for a bit longer while some of the other super soft runner pits. Of course, the super soft runners are probably going to stretch out between lap 7 and 9. Of course, if they pit lap 7 or 8, it's probably a 2-stop, and if they pit lap 9, it's probably a 1-stop. But you can see now Barlight is going to inherit P7 now, as Dwerg's going to come out quite just behind him. So you can see now as we get on to the end of lap 8, here comes Dwerg in the mirror. He's going to go around the outside of Barlight on the fresher tyres, and that's a really good move from Dwerg. And yeah, up into P7. But yeah, you can see now it's now Richie now going into the pits, and he's going to probably give Storm the lead. Of course, yeah, Richie actually got super softs on his dashboard, so that's implying a 2-stop. Meanwhile, here comes Storm. Storm's probably going to inherit the lead. You see Borderline's also peeled into the pits, and so it looks like Borderline's also going to go for a 2-stop. So Storm, the only one of the front runners, is actually going to go for a 1-stop. So this actually might be really good for him, and he has a chance to gain points on Richie if Richie's held in traffic. So Storm right now looking like he's in the prime seat, and it's going to be quite a close race between the two championship rivals, providing Richie can close the gap, which he has to make up after his first pit stop. But he already made quite a big gap over Storm. It was about a 7 or 8 second gap, so should be able to close it down. Of course, the pit lane not too long on Kota, so he should be able to gain most of the time quite quickly. Meanwhile, you can see Borderline now is going to rejoin just had a Raining Thunder inside the top 10, and Richie, this is just a replay, he came out in P5, just behind Brazian, who is Oliver. Oliver actually changing his name to Brazian, so that is who he is. You can see now Richie has overtaken Brazian and will be up into 4th place. Meanwhile, this is Barla. He's actually coming under pressure from Dow, who's already made a pit stop. And there goes Dow around the outside. And Dow, of course, one of the other runners who is fighting for the podium. And you can see now that's actually Borderline behind them. So Borderline will probably be making a move. Meanwhile, up ahead in Nakainu now. This is just ahead of Richie. Nakainu's going to go around the outside. Oh, Cassie, can he pull it off? This would be an incredible move. Both of them on the similar sets of tyres. There goes Nakainu up the inside, side by side. These guys are actually having an amazing battle now for what will be P2, because Storm is in the lead. And Nakainu's going to try to do a cutback. You can see Richie's right behind these guys, so Richie might get held up if these guys continue to battle. But Nakainu nearly pulling off an insane move on AOR Cassie. Meanwhile, here comes QRL Storm. He's going to peel into the pits, and he's going to relinquish the lead to what will be this battling duo and Richie B. Of course, these guys still they're still trying to stretch their supers out until lap 12 or something, so they can go on the softs. Meanwhile, here comes Storm onto the softs, and he actually doesn't get lag for once, which is probably good to see. And of course, Storm probably got a bit worried there going to the pits. Of course, in Japan, he lost the lead. Well, he lost a position to Richie in the pits, so of course he didn't want the same to happen today. Here comes Borderline now. He's going to actually overtake Storm, so the undercuts work well for him. But you can see both Dow and Borderline on the Ultra Softs, so they're probably going to have to pit early again for what will be a fresh set of Super Softs towards the end. Meanwhile, here comes Storm. He's going to come out right behind Borderline, so Storm has the top 4 in his sights. Meanwhile, you can see now Richie is going to catch up to Nakanu and Cassie, who are now battling for the lead of the race. Well, there goes Nakanu. Nakanu's wide. Here comes Richie around the outside, and Richie's down into into P2, and yeah, he's well ahead of Dwerg. He's about 4 seconds back, but Dwerg in turn is ahead of Dow and ahead of Borderline as well. But of course, he is on the supers, so he will probably fall back a bit. And so will Richie for that matter. Meanwhile, you can see now Richie trying to overtake Cassie, who's also a fellow Dutchman. So literally the Dutchmen are occupying 6 of the top 7 slots. So Storm definitely has his work cut out for him if he wants to challenge Richie. You can see now Storm is going to overtake a few more people. That's Brazian, who's in the pits. He's managed to stretch his tyres out to lap 10, which is quite impressive. And yeah, he's trying the 1-stop. Meanwhile, you can see Nakainu now. He's under attack from Dwerg. So Dwerg not too far behind, but of course Richie's already up into the lead. And you can see Dow is actually not far behind. Dow actually has closed the gap to Dwerg, and he's only about a second behind now. So he's definitely been gaining. And Borderline as well isn't too far behind. As you can see now, Borderline closing up to Nakanu, and he's not behind both Dwerg and Dow. So the battle for the podium definitely seems to be hotting up, and Storm, for that matter, isn't far behind them. So yeah, he's not losing too much time on his softs, so it's looking good. But you can see now Borderline gets the position on Nakanu, and Nakanu is just falling back through the field. Of course, he was P2 at one point, but now he's going to fall back into what will probably be P5, P6, as Borderline overtakes a few more people. You can see now Borderline's going to overtake Cassie, who's in the pits, and Nakanu staying out for another lap just behind Borderline. So you can see now he's going to probably come under pressure from Storm this lap. Of course, Storm's already pitted, and Nakanu hasn't. But the Storm made his only pit stop of the race, so right now he's actually in a net P1, but of course it all depends on what Richie can do. But if he keeps clocking up those warnings like he's doing right now, Storm definitely doesn't have a chance of the win. And that's his, I think, 6th or 7th warning, so he's already looking on course for a 6-second time penalty if things continue. We can see now he's closed up to the back of Nakanu, and as we head onto the straight, here comes Storm. He's probably going to pull to the outside, and he's going to go around the outside, and it's going to be a simple DRS pass. It's the only move Storm's actually made the whole race, and he's had a quite quiet race so far, but he's trying to do it on strategies, making sure he doesn't actually get into any reckless battles, because of course in his mind he still has a chance at the championship, so there's no point throwing it away by doing a reckless dive bomb or something. Meanwhile, here comes Bylight around the outside of Nakanu. And of course, I think this is actually for position. So Barlight has actually done a really good comeback. And you can see now Nakanu now is going to close up to Barlight. Of course, he's got fresher tyres, but he's now got a 3-second time penalty. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes out top over these two. Meanwhile, Borderline's caught up to both Dow and Dwerg, and he's actually going to pit this lap. So Borderline's going to try and undercut and see if he can get into P2 that way. You see now he's going to come into the pits, and yeah, this is quite an early stop considering he stopped later than both Dwerg and Dow, who are continuing on. But that's going to allow Storm as well up into P4, and yeah, you can see Borderline's going to emerge in P5, so the top 5 well ahead of the rest of the field. He's going to come out right ahead of AOR Cassie. So yeah, Borderline has really good pace, and he's been able to keep with the top 5 runners. Of course, he got a podium last time out at Japan, and once again, the top 5 this race has just been in a league of their own. So far, well ahead of AOR Cassie, who's the next guy. Meanwhile, you can see now Borderline, who he's actually closing up to what we Dow, and actually no, he's jumped Dow actually in the pits, and Dow actually is quite a bit behind. You can see on the mini map. So yeah, Borderline's getting a lot of time for his undercut, so it's looking good. And meanwhile, you can see this is Nakanu now closing up to Barlight. Can he actually make a move? Of course, he's on pressure tyres, and he's going to go up the inside, and yep, that is going to be moved done up into 8th place. But can he hold it? He actually nearly gets attacked, but there goes Barlight around the outside. Can he actually hold it? They're going to go side by side. He's going to go across the curb, and that's going to lose him a bit of time. And there goes Nakanu around the outside. Meanwhile, now Borderline, he's already jumped Dow, but he's actually coming under a bit of pressure from Cassie. In turns, coming under pressure from Dow, who's actually overtaken him now. Meanwhile, here comes Richie B. This is going to be a really close battle for the lead now. Will Storm be able to jump his championship rival? Of course, these two are leading the race right now, as Dwerg's also come into the pits, and he's filtered out what will be just behind Borderline. So Borderline's been able to jump both Dow and Dwerg, but we've got bigger things to worry about right now, because here comes Storm. Where's going to be Richie? Richie's going to emerge on the left-hand side. They're going to go side by side. Can Storm jump Richie? They're going to actually go side by side, but the Richie's going to defend on pressure tyres. Storm's going to try the cutback. This is all he can do. Richie has the advantage right now. He's got fresher tyres. With only 7 laps to go, and it looks like Richie is on course to win another race, because Storm just can't keep up with him through the sector, and it's heartbreak for Storm. Just when it looked like he had a chance to win, Richie has just been too fast once again, and it's been the case for most of the season. I mean, Storm had a really good lead on Richie up until about round 6, and from there Richie's just been closing the gap bit by bit, and yeah, Richie's been in a league of his own all season. Meanwhile, you've seen Nakanu going a bit deep, and that's going to allow Barlight a chance. But Barlight, of course, a bit far back still, so he won't be able to make anything of it. Meanwhile, Borderline now, he's actually got quite a bit of gap to Dwerg, so he's doing really well in P3, but there's commentator's curse. He's actually frozen, and yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen there. Oh, his game's not responding, and he's probably going to have to close it and rejoin, so he's going to lose a lot of time from that. And it's such a shame, because like he gained 2 positions on both Dow and Dwerg, and as a result he's going to come out in P5 now behind Cassie. You can see there, if he can even rejoin. But here he comes, and he's spectating for some reason, but here he comes, he's rejoining, and he's going to rejoin right behind Cassie. and that will be P5. So in all this, I don't know what's happened to Dow, but he seems to have dropped back a bit. So a mistake from Dow or something? I mean, we do have his footage, but I can only presume. I mean, Dow, of course, yeah, he's normally been quite a consistent driver, but of course, it's been his first race in a while. Meanwhile, you can see Richie gets the fastest lap, and he's definitely pulling away from Storm. And Storm's also got Dewar to worry about, who's closing in now. Meanwhile, you see Borderline set a 1 minute 2.4. So I mean, I think something's glitched out there. I mean, I know it might be a spectator glitch or something, but as Borderline's rejoined, he's now set the fastest lap, and he's going to gain about 35 seconds on that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens as a result of this glitch. But you can see now Bylight has picked up another 3-second time penalty as we're already on towards lap 27 now. Storm trying to actually defend from Dwerg, who's been able to catch up the 12 seconds. And Dwerg on this Retro Ultra Softs has been going, well, just as quick as Richie, really, setting purple lap times. But Storm's going to try to defend. Of course, this is really important. 3 points saved from Richie if he can defend this position. But here comes Dwerg to make it a Dutch 1-2 if he can do this. But here comes Storm. He's going to try to hold it up the inside. But Dwerg still is going to have the outside line. He's going to have the pressure tires. But there goes Storm up the inside. He's living in space. Really respectful driving. This is the first action Storm's really seen all race. But Storm's going to go a bit wide. That's going to allow Dwerg the position. But they're still going to go, well, not quite side by side. He's going to back out of it like he did on lap 1. Which is probably quite sensible. But he spotted a gap. He's going to try to do a cut back. But there goes Dwerg. He's covered the position. And Dwerg's on the pressure tires. But the final lap has been heartbreak for Storm. He's been overtaken. Of course, yes, he had 9 seconds worth of penalties, which weren't going to help him, but this surely is not a good position for Storm. He's going to lose 10 points to Richie, and that gap will be 28 points now between the two of them, with 3 rounds to go. So Richie looks like he's well and truly sealed the championship. Of course, he definitely had the momentum after last race. Meanwhile, Barlight now is trying to defend from Dow. So Dow, after actually being a pit stop ahead of Barlight, has fallen back. So that's definitely implied he's had something wrong with him. But Dow's going to try to salvage P8, which is a far cry from where he was at the beginning of the race. But still, if he can get Barlight, it will be a Dutch. Practically a Dutch 1-8, which apart from Storm and Oliver, who's actually had a really good race right now in 6th place. Meanwhile, you can see, talking about Oliver's actually coming under pressure for Nakanu. So of course, yeah, I mean, the Dutch and the British are absolutely dominating this league. Of course, I think there's now 7 Dutch drivers, and all of them seem to be in the top 8. So incredible scenes. But there goes Richie. Just a replay. He has won, and he has gained 10 more points. He's weaving across the line, and yeah, he's just been unstoppable. I mean, he could have probably had a fight with Storm in Malaysia if Storm hadn't made a mistake. Of course, he had a really thrilling battle with Storm for the win in Singapore, which Storm actually beat him on. But of course, that was in the wet. But it just hasn't been today for Storm. It's only been 2 wet races in the whole season, and Storm just hasn't had the pace in the dry. So Richie B definitely looks like he's going to win this season, unless Storm could pull a miracle in Mexico. Yeah, there goes Storm. He's going to get a podium, which is much better than the 10th he got in Japan. But you can see now Borderline is all across the line in P5 after disconnecting. So, yeah, it's quite a good comeback considering he did disconnect. But he's been really fast all race, and you see he's actually won the race on his screen. So, yeah, of course, he did have that glitch, which gained him 35 seconds. But I'm sure the stewards will remove that from him, so he finishes will be P4 because Cassie had time penalties. Meanwhile, there goes Barlight. He's going to come across the line in P9. There's actually a really close battle with P6. I think 6th to 10th place separated by only about 5 seconds, so very close indeed. And you can see now as we celebrate the podium, there is Borderline on the top step, but of course he won't be keeping that. But you can see, look at all the Dutch drivers and British drivers. I mean, there's only one non-Brit and non-Dutch inside the top 10, and that's Barlight. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely a 2-country league, this one. And Richie B once again will take the win. And yeah, he's just been absolutely unstoppable this season. I mean, his qualifying record is exemplary, and so is his race record. So as we move on to the standings, Richie B now leads by 28 points. Dow is actually gained a few points on Intergalactic, so will actually defend his P3 for the time being. Borderline once again gets a really good result and moves up 5 positions. So you can see the battle for a 10th really hotting up from 10th all the way down to I think 18th. There's only about 10 points difference, so a really good battle for 10th place actually hotting up. And of course the battle for 3rd still there, and the battle for the championship just about still there. But yeah, you'll join us back in Mexico, so it should be there. Interesting.